Okay, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Thank God it's Friday. Well, the big news yesterday night, surprising if you ask me, is that President Tinubu has named Professor Joash Amupitan. And don't let the name fool you. Amupitan, in this case, is from North Central. But we'll talk about that. He's a professor of law. And people might have been thinking that maybe those who are in charge of announcing a replacement, going by what the retiring professor had just said, he just was trying to give everybody a bit more room. The very next day, we hear from the president that actually this is the guy. This is our man, Professor Joash Amupitan. Well, my guest this morning is Dr. Jerry Chukwueke.
Chief Jerry Chukwueke, I'm not a doctor, so keep going.
but my caller Wale
Don't mind him.
has said that you are a doctor.
Don't like to make me a professor. I'm not. I'm just a private sector man, just moving along.
Okay, so let me amend that to Chief Jerry Chukwueke.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so thank you very much for coming. You're a political affairs analyst, and you've also worked closely with the Imo State government over time, right?
Yes, as a chief technical advisor.
Indeed. So we'll talk about that, and also since you're here, the president was in town. When I say in town, he was in the southeast. A little while ago. We might talk about that if we have the time. But
that's fine. Our
primary concern this morning is the announcement. Well, I called it a surprise announcement. There are those after the event who are saying that, this name was being mentioned in about a week or so to the time. I don't know how far that is true, but did it surprise you when the name was announced?
Well, it was a pleasant surprise.
Okay, yeah.
Because when you now do a deep dive into what must have been playing in Mr. President's mind, keep in mind who we're dealing with, Mr. President. He thinks transformation. He thinks new ideas. He thinks fresh blood. And he also thinks how to improve the situation.
Okay.
That's the transformational agenda thing we'll keep talking about. And so, with all due respect to the INEC structure before this nomination, the perception generally is that INEC needed transformation. I think that's fair to say.
Okay.
And that was the focus of Mr. President. That is my view. For example, Professor Joe, as many of his students at the University of Joash call him, because he's a friend of young people.
Okay. He himself is not that much of an elder.
He's at the peak of his career.
Yes, and he's at the peak of his career.
Yes. So here we go. The man was a product of parenting of school teachers. A school teacher raised him, and a strict Christian family. I say this because anyone who is raised by a school teacher,
of course,
like me, we know what that means. No nonsense upbringing.
Nigerians have a concept of what that means.
Absolutely. We're talking just foundational issues here, because it speaks to character. Who raised you? What kind of family? So you can see from the get-go that we have something positive to look at. It wasn't an anyhow raised person. Now that explains, in my view, to having gone to the University of Joash, studied law, did his master's, PhD, taught there, dean of the law program, the deputy vice chancellor, and so on, an administrator like he was. Joash, as you know, is a camp city. It's not a city for greedy people. It's not a city where overly ambitious people live. They're self-content. I grew up in Plateau State.
Okay.
So I have the feel, the old Benue Plateau. So People are calm. They are not over exuberant in terms of wants. They focus more on need. Why am I telling this story? It goes to speak about integrity. That's the point I'm making. It goes to speak as to the making of the man. To me, that's one of the most important things that have happened. But you can also say, how come we're talking about an INEC chairman whose environment and experience is largely the University of Jos?
The academia.
I'm coming to the academia because he's a strong administrator. That's a fair argument, except to say that he was also a Fulbright scholar at the University of Iowa in the United States. So the man has international exposure. So when you now come to the issue of his credentials, Professor Joe is an expert in the law of evidence. And I'll come to the import of that in a minute. He's a specialist in corporate governance and due process. I want you to imagine the task ahead for him. Those two key things. Number one, an authority in law of evidence, which means that he is very well equipped to ensure that INEC's legal positions that are put before the court of law are not only vetted properly, but can stand legal scrutiny. Unlike many a time, what we saw in the past.
I was going to say there have been unfortunate incidents where INEC has had its case thrown out.
That is the point I'm making. Number two, when you are an expert in corporate governance and due process, you are equipped to appreciate the fact that you as a leader is leading a team who must also be listened to and have play in decision making. It's like running a corporate organization. Remember, he's chairman of INEC, that is a commission. 2 commissioners per geopolitical zone. So there are 12 commissioners who will have a say, and their say must be listened to and taken into due consideration, as opposed to a commission capture, where one person becomes the authority, as we've seen before. So he appreciates the importance. And I'm not even, you have to also add the resident commissioners in the respective states. That is running a commission where all key members and their views will come to the table, and there'll be robust debate, and their decisions will follow due process. That training is just as important, in my view, as that of being an authority in the law of evidence. So we're dealing with 2 key issues transformationally. One, the fact that what comes out of INEC, because we're going into elections, Anambra one is coming up shortly. There are other states coming up before the general election, one more state before the general election. And what that means is that all the matters of litigation that will follow, because Nigerians are experts in going to court and litigation.
It is how we are.
That an INEC chairman understands that what comes out of the commission must stand legal scrutiny. Very important for us. And the fact that he's better equipped to carry his colleagues along, because it's no longer the issue of commission capture. The man we are talking about would allow other views to play. You know, and I rest at this for the moment. I was reading a comment about him being a lawyer, a very good friend and lawyer of Senator Dino Malaye. See, you get the point? If Mr. President was concerned about the opposition, quote unquote, that would have been an issue, wouldn't it?
It might have been an issue, but you're very, very right.
I would think so. But here's a man who, as we dig deeper Many of his friends and associates and people who know him talk about how principled he is, that he's taking many of their cases on to appeals because he believed in them pro bono. Pro bono. He didn't charge him.
Is that right?
So
I didn't know that.
So you're talking
that's the
about
kind of man that
what
we're talking about.
And then guess what else? The courage to withstand political pressure. That is an important part of this conversation we're having today. The man we see, and we now have to start really pray for him, from his training and what we've seen in his relationships, will be open to all and will focus on the common good and what comes out of the INEC. I think Mr. President made a great transformational choice, like he's done many a time.
Indeed, and it does show that President Tinubu is a man who seems to be very prepared.
Yes.
Because it's clear that he must have been thinking about the situation. He would have known the calendars. He would have known Professor Mahmood, you know, his term was about to be completed.
Right.
And that, so what are we going to do after that? But he kept quiet. He didn't speak to the kind of people that can also bring it later on onto social media.
Correct.
There might have been maybe a handful of people that would have known the president's thinking, but not a whiff of it. It then points to the fact that, and then all these things you're talking about now about the man, no doubt President Tinubu would have weighed it. But let me ask you this. They put the oldest serving INEC commissioner, the outgoing chairman, put her simply because she's the most senior.
Yeah,
you know.
That's due process.
That's due process.
Yes, yes, that's how it works.
And it all, in fact, unanimously,
yes,
the commissioners agreed.
Exactly.
That this is in order.
Exactly.
I noticed that that word unanimously can also be brought to bear on the Federal Executive Council meeting when President surprisingly presented his nomination, again, unanimously, you know, accepted.
Correct.
But you remember that we were told that not very many of us actually attend those Federal Executive Council meetings. We were told that, no, in fact, this was supposed to be Council of State.
Council of State.
So where were the former heads of government in this country?
So somewhere in there, former President Jonathan, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and also former President Yakubu Gowon. I cannot speak to why they weren't there. But I think we can assume that sometimes there's a perception that you don't want to be part of an endorsement of someone you're not sure of,
okay,
and what his loyalty factor would be. And that's a political play. I think where we are now, and the more facts emerge, is that they too will take a deep breath. If the reason for their absence was not some unforeseen circumstance, to now take a look at the man and say, okay, we weren't there, but this was a good call. I believe that will happen.
Okay, let's wait for good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you. Good morning.
And good morning to the guest.
Thank you very much.
Uncle Yori, I think the president got it right by appointing an INEC chairman without waiting much time. Well, no matter who the president appoints, there will be some who do not see, who will never think he can be credible. The man should just get ready to withstand blackmail and go ahead with what he is convinced is the right thing without listening to people who just want to run him down. I will also suggest to him to take a deep look at the staff of INEC itself. There is need to clean up that area. There are some of them that used to sabotage the system during elections. And then you should bring in some new hands to the technical department, to the IT department. And I also think he should improve the digital system that his predecessor started. We should be able to do electronic voting in our country. We should be able to allow Nigerians outside the country to vote in a clean system that is not prone to fraud. And we should be able to employ technology as much as possible to ensure that what happened in 2023 doesn't truncate it. A lot of people wanted to, to rig the election, online, and because the INEC chairman stood against it, that's why you see them saying, hey, he's not credible, he's this, he's that. They wanted to use their online technology to rig it, and the man stood his ground and said so. So he should also not become a popular chairman. We don't want a popular chairman there. We want a chairman that does the right thing and goes against evildoers so that our electoral system can be good in our country. And I wish him well.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah, very interesting perspective that he put on the table. First, the transformational agenda, I believe, was a focus point for Mr. President in this nomination, and I'm confident to be confirmed by the Senate, addresses some of the issues he just raised. How do you take a look going forward as to the changes, the reforms that are necessary at INEC? Personnel, structure of governance, due process, technology improvement. How do you ensure that the sort of technology improvement required going forward is not compromised? You see, this was a big issue for 2023. That is important. Also, the issue of administration, particularly with regards to the logistical challenge INEC has to manage. Moving ballot boxes and election materials to all of these polling units on time, ensuring that this technology is a real-time reporting system that is credible. The training of all the INEC ad hoc staff on a timely basis to ensure that there are not last-minute decisions where they didn't have the proper training and orientation to carry out their work. So there's a lot of transformational issues here. And that is why I think that each time you bring somebody in with fresh ideas, forward-looking. So when the obedience say that for him, I know what our young people are thinking about. They're futuristic. They say, who is forward-looking? Who can improve the system?
That's an interesting point you brought up, that even we have heard from within the obedient movement that, this is kosher.
Yes.
This is carry on.
Correct.
Good morning, Reverend Dominic. Thank you for holding on. Go ahead now, please.
Good morning, Chief Yori. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
How is your guest? Your guest is from my area too.
Okay. All right then. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Can I go on?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yori, I love what Mr. President did. He didn't give time and chance to speculators and lobbyists, and he gave us this man we have seen. I won't comment much about his character because they say the taste of the Putin is in the eating. After the number election and to the 6th Oshu or thereabout election in Oshu State, we can talk about his character, his attitude. But I want him to do one thing, just to permit you to start, continue where George stopped. I want you to study the last, INEC chairman, Mahmood, and take a little study about Jega. And know what makes Jega stand out. I know what makes Mahmood going out now with some stain or stand on his character. We must allow things to work well. We must allow procedures to be a procedure, if there's a good English like that. When we make a guideline, we must follow it. That makes a gentleman. You are following from black and white television to color television. You have made the same. People say, why have you not your? I've seen from black and white on NTA. To have gone through now and become like an old wine which gets better every day. We must tell this man, if you want to keep your head cool, you must be, disciplined. There's some people who are master leaders of election in INEC. We must understand the only first. I'm a pastor. You can be a good pastor up there, and your lecturers that make things around. To be a good head in anywhere, you must be able to checkmate your staff, because your staff can date your CV. Why you do not know? This man was disciplined, but let him study what makes people fail and what will others succeed. I can't take more than that now. He's a gentleman. His CV is fine. He's studied in Nigeria, studying just, first degree, second degree, third degree, made in Nigerian man. We must understand the tensions and emotions of Nigeria about election. And he's a lawyer. So nobody will tell us to go to court. We must go to court first, because he's an advocate. So he must know what to do and how to do it. Congratulations to him. I pray that God give him wisdom, understanding to lead a national right. But again, congratulations to Mr. President, who has changed circumstances of governance. If it's before, the people that were appointed this man will be asleep. The head of state will be asleep. By 2-3 weeks or a month,
yes,
we will not see an INEC chairman. But this man called Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown he has a character. He went front, and he said there's no controversy, because he went to choose a man. Right or wrongly, the man has done well. Congratulations, Nigeria. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much for calling in, Reverend. As he's saying, he didn't let any dust settle on it. In fact, that one was something of a societal coup. Correct. While people were waiting, had assumed that there might be a few days in, I mean, everybody was maybe taken aback, and as you said, you were pleasantly surprised.
Correct.
When you heard the announcement yourself, and the next thing is to begin to, bring a magnifying glass to what has
Correct.
been said.
But his points are well made, because now it's clear the kind of work that does lie ahead of our new nominee, Professor Joe. Now, there's a general perception that INEC has institutional interests that are embedded in it. I don't want to get into name callings. I believe, and that will be the expectation, in my view, of most Nigerians, must go in there and work his way through and break up whatever might be vested interests that make it difficult for the work of INEC to be appreciated. That's important. I think, just as importantly, to show the courage and resilience to withstand political pressure from politicians. Because that's part of the challenge.
Well,
and what we know of him puts him in good stead in that regard. That he'll be able to stand up and say, no, this is wrong. We're not going to do this. Let's do the right thing. So I think that's important. And I agree with his submission, the last caller's submission, about how his mind is working.
Let's take Kesandu in Owerri. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and happy weekend, and good morning to Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me say that for the very first time, Mr. President has really, really impressed me with one thing. He just acted so swiftly. I must say, I must commend him so well. For anybody who is hearing this from me, will know that it's not just usual. Because if you do well, we actually say, Mr. President didn't, like everyone has said, He didn't give such opportunity for us to start having so many noise around the polity. It's quite presidential of him. That's the truth. But as for the man that is going to oversee the affairs of electoral processes, please, sir, I want to say something this morning. We have seen, it is not a function of being a son. It's not a function of being a professor, because we have seen what those who are called professors are actually done to electoral policy in Nigeria. It has been highly unfortunate. But I want to say, a new normal is possible. We're at the point and time in Nigeria when the only panacea to the quagmire we're facing in this country is to have a free, fair, to a reasonable extent, a credible election. He has an opportunity to write his name in good in this terms of time. And I can tell you, most young people who are now interested in what happens around us. And we want to wish him well. We want to give him a maximum support. Please, this implicit confidence that the president has reported, that Nigerians are coming out openly, because since his announcement, I've not really seen criticism or anything. It's about optimism. So I want to see him embrace his optimism and ensure that come 2027, even with the elections we're going to have and the offshoot elections, we're going to have the will of the people will prevail. This is something we've not been seeing. We've not been seeing. But God bless Nigeria. A new Nigeria is possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in.
So again, how do you deal with some of the points he made? I think that it has a lot to do with the technology that must be deployed to improve the situation. Because the key to due process is also deployment of the best technology out there. And Nigerians, both at home and abroad, many of whom are experts in information technology and software development and so on. Now he needs to work with people and structures that can help improve the technology at hand. Because the more you remove the process from the hands of human beings who can compromise them, the more credible results we can get. Does he have the courage to do so? I believe so.
Okay.
Will he have the funding? I think Mr. President understands the job at hand, because INEC's funding and their funding getting to them on time is critical to the success of an election.
Exactly.
So everybody has a role to play. And we also plead with politicians in the interest of Nigeria, not to, because of self-interest or selfishness, pressure this system to a point of compromise. Let's allow it to work so Nigerians will have more of a say. It will never be perfect. But I think the job at hand now is everybody will be watching to see his transformation agenda. How are we going to be better off than where we were before? I think that's the point.
Well, you know, one thing that is seems to stand out in our conversation this morning, and also from people who have come in, is that there's no way we begin to pull back from technology. Absolutely none. If anything, it must be improved.
We have to keep moving. Technology keeps improving.
Exactly.
We must follow the trend.
Exactly.
Because it gives us better results.
And we do have the access to that technology?
Absolutely. And can we get the funding to do it? That's where the priority must be. To say, if we appoint a man to do a good job, let's give him what he needs to do a good job. That's where the National Assembly and Mr. President must play their role. I believe they will, because this is critical. We now need to transform to a level where the world recognizes that our elections are very reasonably transparent and credible. That's the job Professor Joe must deliver.
Okay. Joshua in Irewolede, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest. I'm very happy that I got through.
Oh, okay.
And happy weekend to you.
Thank you very much.
I want to congratulate Professor Mahmood Yakubu. He did well for Nigeria. No matter how much was misunderstood, that man did well for Nigeria. He saved the nation. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to Mr. President. I know now that this man is almost a savior for Nigerians. He listened. Now, congratulations to Prof. Joash. You see, when we were growing up in Electoral, the key thing we were brought up with is that your character is more important than gold. Your name. We were grown with integrity. And this man is extremely well-versed. As at the 70s, his dad was a lawyer and a judge, and his mother was a teacher. Very strict family upbringing, and Joash, the prof, has never lost that. So I really congratulate Nigeria that we have somebody we can bank on. Kogi State is very heavy on, don't mind the distractions, we're very heavy with integrity. Your name, that's what our parents keep telling us.
Correct.
So I know that he will do very well. He should just be careful, work with his team, and they will bring the best election to Nigeria. Correct. He has our support, those of us that grew up with him, and he should know that everything is with him to work well and to make Nigeria proud. I'm very proud of him, and I know he will succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And you know,
I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Could you just hold your thought? Let me just quickly do this break and then come back.
That's fine.
Comment on this, and we'll continue going forward. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and it's the day after the announcement of Professor Joash Amupitan as the president's nomination for the position of the chairman of INEC, which has just been vacated about a couple of days ago. That is to say, you know, Professor Mahmood Yakubu had completed his 10-year stint, 2 5-year terms, and now the president is proposing Professor Joash Amupitan. If he is endorsed by the Senate.
Yeah, confirmed.
If he's confirmed, I beg your pardon. If he's confirmed by the Senate, then that's it. It's a done deal. So let's wait. The papers have been very, very helpful. Of course, the research departments. If you go back to 1960, we're seeing that there have been, with including Professor Joash Amupitan, that will be 13 chairmen of INEC. So
yes. Interesting, but let me piggyback to the last caller's comments.
Yes, that is who called in from Irewolide.
Correct. You see, I made a point earlier that the foundation of a man or woman.
You did say so.
It's key, isn't it? And this is a gentleman who apparently is from his area and who knew him growing up. We say, in this part of the world, who trained you, who raised you, the family you grew up in, how were you raised, are fundamental to your character. Many times, it's more important than all the other qualifications.
You see, it's interesting, Jerry, because you stayed on this particular point. There are other qualifications. He's a lawyer. He's an expert in certain aspects of law. He's a professor. But you started off by saying that the character is the most important qualification.
Absolutely.
The character. And we,
Absolutely. So, so I go back to what I think Mr. President keeps thinking about. Legacy. Legacy. How do I leave Nigeria a better place? We can say things are improving, but we know the destination. That we will get to that point where, from a legacy standpoint, we'll say, we thank God, the man came to do a good job.
Even, our regular viewer, Kesandu, who called in from Owerri, he actually said that those who know me will know I'm not given to making certain kinds of statements.
Correct.
And, but he did then say, and it's important, he said, for the first time, he said it, for the first time, I agree entirely
Yes.
with this particular choice here.
So let's support this man and let's pray for him. And Professor Joe must remember, because I'm confident to be confirmed by the Senate, his records are clear, his trajectory clear. We have huge expectations of him, and we will hold his feet to the fire. He's got the foundational training, the character, the courage and resilience. He can stand up and say, let's do the right thing, and use the expertise he's developed over the years. Right, in due process, corporate governance, authority, in law of evidence.
You know,
and fine-tune INEC. Nigerians want credible and transparent.
And there's no
election.
going back on
And so
the
those
science
who
and technology
say,
aspect.
Absolutely.
No going back on that.
He will go back. And I think that we will look back, I believe so strongly. If you years from now go, Mr. President, thank you. I think it was a good call. I'm very excited about it.
So far, hardly any naysayer to this proposal of Mr. President. Hardly any. I don't know. I was going to mention that. I think you brought it up. Okay. I was going to bring it up that even the obedience have put out word that they can't see anything wrong with this.
Yeah, because obedient
we can't see anything
movement,
wrong with
the
this.
way I understand how they play is that they follow credible candidates.
Okay.
Not necessarily party. That's what I understand they say they do. And I give you an example. The governor of Enugu State during the election was PDP and still PDP at the moment. Obedient movement said they are backing him. They are following quality candidates who can deliver.
Okay.
And you can see he's delivering in Enugu State.
Yeah.
So, and I make the point again about our young people, because they are the future. And they believe in technology. They are the forward-looking people. They want to
believe in technology. They understand
and
the
they
technology.
understand it. So a man who can read is like a leader who understands the future. And I think that is important. Okay. I make one more point. There are some structures that also need to give him an opportunity to succeed. For example, the road transport workers. So you know that the logistics for INEC is delivered by structures. We need, for him not to be sabotaged, we need to be cooperative, because one of the key things is to get the logistics right, get the materials on time, get the training and orientation of the ad hoc workers on time.
You've mentioned this.
So they're in place. So people can smell and feel and touch where you are going.
And so that we can be as ready
That's
as
the
can be.
point.
As
So
can be.
all of that is important.
Mazi Okoroafo, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Sayuri. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Alvaro France. Sayuri, when the freedom movement I need to tell you that we should do in Nigeria that to you, as an individual, as such as the political parties we have for now, there's no way they can challenge the ruling party, because each one have their own intricate, they have their own peculiar issues, which they have not settled. Now, we are approaching December now. Another person will now do their own convention, not one, not two. Now, by the time we talk about, by next year now, everything will be boiling. That is vibrating seriously. To me now, there is no opposition party for that. Anyone that's available for me are not strong. We tackle. Well, let me congratulate our new INEC chairman. I pray by the grace of God, he will do the needful, carry everybody along, so that by November, in the Anambra State, it's a little test for him coming on board, so that we see how he's going to break. Morning, if you do the needful, that by the November election in Anambra State, it will be free, fair, transparent. Nigeria will say, hallelujah, hallelujah. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okoroafo. He will just put his own in like that.
Yes.
Indeed. In fact, Professor Amupitan, he's been so hyped that Nigerians are now looking forward to. I guess we need to hear from this guy because he hasn't been heard from. Apparently,
no, until the confirmation.
Of course.
He has to be first confirmed by the Senate. But
no, I mean, even in social...
No, that's the beauty of it. All we know is that his relationships have been open.
Yes.
And he's a man of principle.
And people have been saying he's an apolitical
That's
person.
the point. And I didn't want to sound politically correct. That's why I was making the point that he's open to all. That's apolitical, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But the point he made about opposition, and I think that's important, because the pressure is going to come now as to who is registered, who does he recognize, and so on. You see, and it is very clear. I mean, I just came back a few days ago, and while I was out in the States, I engaged with several groups.
The United States?
Yeah, United States. Several groups of Nigerians, top private sector people, different tribes. The beauty of it is abroad, our people are the same. It's almost like
all Nigerians are one abroad.
It's only when we come here we hear all this.
I don't know why, but you're right.
So, and they were talking about credible opposition. Credible opposition. And we keep laying this point that we need it. This system needs a credible opposition. Even as we speak, more than any time else, how do we continue to hold our current government's feet to the fire so their policies are better fine-tuned? What are the alternative viewpoints? What ways can they do things differently? You don't hear these policy positions. You don't hear any positions emanating from them. All we hear and continue to hear is that they are struggling with platforms for election and who will be president. We still don't even know who belongs to what political platform.
That's right.
So I understand the point he's making. And they still have time, they still have time to repair this thing. Nigerians want to know what it is they will bring differently to the table.
Indeed.
The elections are approaching fast, so we'll see where things stand.
We'll see. Albert Akon in Gombe. Good morning to you, sir. Albert Akon, can you hear us? Good morning. Albert, I do believe we might have lost that call, but it's like news media agog with the surprise appointment of Joash Amupitan. Surprise in terms of the speed with which the appointment was made. The dust had hardly settled on Professor Mahmood Yakubu, concluding his term. And here we are with a new proposal by the president. Well, Jerry, my guest, was saying that it came out of the peripheral vision, of the president, because nobody, well, I have to be careful. Why would I say nobody? But most of us didn't even go there, didn't even know, Okay. Retired AIG, Dr. Durosimi, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. I want to congratulate the president. It's a talent identifier, always identifying the best for every position. But when you come in, the ovation is loud. It's not left for the professor of law to prove his worth. He has to be apolitical, and he has to modernize elections in Nigeria. Nigeria and the world want to get the result of election within at least 24 hours. We must know the direction, not 3-4 days. We must actually make use of the technology. And funding is not a problem to INEC. They have never complained of funding. Nigerians are ready to pay, but give us the best. I congratulate the professor and I congratulate the president for being speedy, for being timely, not giving room to any insinuation or any sentiment to make the appointment. The appointment is right. The professor has proved his worth in Nigeria and internationally. It's not left for him. He should realize that one day Nigerians will call his name and they will judge him by whatever he is able to do when he's in position.
position of INEC chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, let's talk a bit about that, Jerry. The speed with which the president has made this decision and put this proposal out there. You recall that in very recent times, it has taken up to 6 months to make an appointment on a ministerial or this kind of a level. So that it happened like this, it's another insight into the man called Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, so let's address that for a minute. It was speedy, but let's dimension that, what that may mean. Mr. President was prepared. That's really the point.
Really, really. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, so he must have been thinking through this for months and looking with a big picture, peripheral vision. Who is the right player for this job? Who will transform? Who can take this pressure from politicians? How do we get this a better place? But he kept it quiet, so the decision will not become one by leaks or people around him mounting pressure and trying to position people for that job. Yeah. That's the point. I keep saying that our president is in charge.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that is important for Nigeria today. So yes, it was speedy, but he prepared for this.
He was prepared for it.
And it was something he respected the importance and the integrity of the process to deal with, so he would not open it up to all sorts of pressures and manipulations.
And I want to agree with you that he must have been thinking about this for a while.
Oh, without a doubt.
And a part of that thinking would have been determining the amount of talent available for that position before he now narrowed down to Joash Amupitan.
Absolutely. And ensured by his leadership that there were no leaks.
No leaks. No leaks.
So the process had integrity. I think
Alhaji Subaya in Alimosho, good morning to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yori. Good morning.
Thank you for calling.
I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Yori. And let me first of all, at the same time, appreciate your guests for giving us a kind of lowdown, a new lowdown of all the speeches. We really appreciate you. You know, and my point is to Nigeria. Let me congratulate our President Mahmood Yakubu. You see, for this appointment, what I know and what I want Nigerians to understand, that President Tinubu means a lot. It means a lot of positivity for Nigeria. That is one. And I'm using this medium to appeal to the opposition. You see, they should cooperate with the elected INEC chairman. Because, you see, they need to understand the future of Nigeria is paramount to everybody being in Nigeria. We are more concerned about the prosperity, the progressiveness of this country. So we advise them to cooperate with the chairman elect, the INEC chairman elect, because they should understand something. Nobody is God. Nobody is perfect. You see, so whatever, in their capacity, they should allow this man to give us to perform, because in their own, the way we issue with their behavior, they don't see anything good. But I want them to understand that what we, as a Nigeria, is concerned is about the genuinity of this country, which belong. That is my advice to the opposition. Please, they should cooperate with the man. The man is an excellent person, and I pray for him for good delivery. Have a nice day, Mr. Yori.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Subaya, calling in.
That's a good one. Yes, Professor Joe is the nominee to be confirmed by the Senate.
Indeed.
I think that's the process. But I hear what he's saying, and he's right. I was just trying to kind of clean that up a little bit. But here is again a critical point. If Professor Joe, and I keep referring to him that way because that's what young people like to refer to him as.
Joash, actually.
Joash. They say Joe, Professor Joe.
Professor Joe, Professor Joe.
Exactly.
That's how he's known in his area.
And I like that because, you relate to young people. Yeah. You relate to the future. So I think that one of the key jobs, in addition to saying that opposition should please be cooperative, look, that is important because it is to the benefit of the opposition. What the objective must be is to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. And any which ways to support to ensure that that happens is good for the opposition, is good for the ruling party.
Indeed.
I think that's the point.
Indeed.
So, but I think even just as importantly, there's a point I made earlier, and I just want to emphasize it.
Okay, in going now.
Yes, it is the issue of him being able to withstand political pressure.
Okay, okay.
So, and that's why I like his upbringing and his just environment has, you know, look, that's important because
Indeed.
the problem we have as human beings is many of us don't know when to say when. We you know, if you are not contented, the temptation and greed will set in.
Okay.
But if the strength of character is there, it helps to say, I'm not going for this, let's do the right thing.
They say we're enjoying ourselves too much, that, you know, we're overrunning. Okay. But we understand it. So there you go. Professor Joash Amupitan, you know, he's from Kogi.
Yes,
and,
Kogi Central.
Kogi Central. Correct. That puts him in the north-central geopolitical zone of this country. Yes. So, well, our guest has been Chief Jerry Chukwueke, as always, you know, clinically analytical about these matters. Thank you very much for coming along, Jerry.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate
I'm so glad to be here. I'm very excited for Nigeria.
Indeed. So that's our program today. Do please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.